Hi, my name is Pillay and I'm the director-writer of the narrative.
I'm Stephen Campbell and I'm the producer of the film.
Hi, good day. My name is Matthew Oliver Dalton and I'll be playing the role of Ranbir.
My name is Toliwe Dlamini and I'm a co-producer in this production.
Hi, my name is Simone Singh and I'm playing the main character, Jyoti.
Story deals with a young Indian lesbian woman named Jyoti who has to traverse the terrain of having to deal with the fact that her family isn't necessarily completely comfortable with her sexuality, especially someone who's been a part of her life, her best friend who she grew up with, namely Ranbir, a man who she was supposed to get married to at one point in her life, and then through self-discovery she realizes, I'm actually not interested in men, I'm more attracted to women, and it kind of doesn't sit so well with him, and he rapes her and she has to find her inner strength to overcome that and free herself.
The film is targeted to females between the ages of 24 to 35. Reason being, the narrative speaks about women in that age who are about to get married, as we see that the protagonist here is about to be given away, but then she says that she actually discovers her sexuality.
The director and his sexuality is coming from a bisexual standing point, which makes it easier for me as a bisexual as well to relate to where he's coming from. So just eliminating the one side of sexuality and looking at completely feminist perspective instead of looking at being attracted to both sides, I think it can definitely be a good portrayal.
My character pretty much plays the masculine energy within the film, and is pretty much that masculine energy is what the lesbian characters in the film have to face.
The reason why people should definitely fund this film is because you see a lot of films coming out that deal with LGBT plus issues such as Call Me By Your Name, Love, Simon, and so forth, and it's these beautiful love stories about young Caucasian men coming out, and you hardly ever find movies that are dealing from a woman's perspective of color or a man's perspective of color. Like, yes, Moonlight has sort of changed that in terms of how we witness the industry in regards to LGBT plus issues, but they aren't necessarily any sort of representation beyond black and white in terms of race, even though I don't necessarily like to look at it as a sort of racial thing that's being commented on.
Because normally we see more of like a suburb culture, or the normal cultures like Christianity, or that experiencing gay or lesbian relationships. So I think it's a bit of a new take on from a cultural aspect.
So as a bisexual man who has sort of had to deal with these issues growing up in terms of how the topic of sexuality and gender dealt with at home or with family, it's kind of something I felt from an Indian perspective, a cultural perspective, coming from a country like South Africa where identity is so convoluted and so forth, that a story like this needs to be told so that young girls, young boys, people who haven't come out about their sexuality, who are comfortable with themselves but still feel very attacked from, the outside world, this sort of helps them get an opportunity to see that they aren't alone and that they have the strength within them to kind of come out.
I wanted to leave a message with them about now like the Indian culture and then the lesbian community and everything, because the film does try and talk to a very big message that most people can't handle.
I'm definitely hoping that it will have a good impact on the viewer. I'm really hoping that they will be able to reflect on themselves and see where they stand in terms of traditions versus what their hopes and desires are in life, especially concerning sexuality as well, and how to stand up for themselves. But more than that, I think, especially concerning the narrative, it's that the main character is completely okay with her own sexuality, but it's more so how she has to deal with the obstacles of other people not being okay with her sexuality, and obviously dealing with the repercussions of the rape and so forth.
So the genre of the narrative is a psychological horror with elements of both thriller and drama elements. The horror elements come through mostly through some of the translation style that we're looking at, as well as through the physical manifestation of the masculine energy that comes across from Ranveer's character, where his psychology turns into a monster that attacks Jyoti, our protagonist.
What I hope to bring is definitely that male energy. I think through the obviously workshops and the research that I do, I hope to find at least something that embodies that male character, or that male, or to find like an animal that embodies the male ego.
Well, I think the portrayal of women in this movie is quite strong, because we're seeing a woman who was at the beginning wanting to please her family in terms of get married to this so and so. So she is at the end of the movie taking her stand that this is what I want. I don't want to go this way. As a woman, she's taking her control, and she overcomes the man who wants to violate her.